Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 3 of this Nether Hub build tutorial. My very first video on this channel was part 1 of this build and it's taken me a while to get back and finish it, mostly because I didn't have a great microphone back then and the audio was not very good. Hopefully it's better now, and let's go ahead and finish this up. So the first thing we're going to do today is actually go back over some of the areas that we built in previous tutorials and just make sure that they're spawn proofed. And all that will entail is just making sure that any of these blocks that we placed aren't able to spawn hostile mobs. So for these, I know for a fact these are spawnable because they're full blocks, so we're just going to take a regular stone button and place that on top like that. And these are good because they're not super noticeable, especially when you're just down here. You're not going to ever see those, but it should keep stuff from like piglins or skeletons, since we're in a soul sand valley, from spawning in here while you're in here working or while you're traveling your ice roads. These blocks that are upside down stairs, I'm not entirely sure if those are spawnable. I know right side upstairs are not spawnable, but I am not looking it up right now. I'm just going to go ahead and place buttons just to be safe on all of these. And these blocks down here I believe are spawnable. I don't think there's anywhere over here that's spawnable. Possibly this. Yeah. So we're just gonna use some blackstone. That's not super noticeable. Kind of looks like, I don't know, part of the fire. Over here, kind of the same thing. We'll just place some stone buttons down just to be safe. And up top here as well. Looks like I already spawn proofed over here, so that's good. And these blocks are fine because they're lower half slabs, so they are not spawnable blocks. Okay, same with over here. Those two and that one are good, so just these open blocks. These are upside down stairs, so we'll place those just to be safe, and we'll throw some right here. And I'm pretty sure everywhere in here is spawn proof, possibly here and here. Okay, so now that that is taken care of, we will go ahead and replace this ceiling. And I'm going to use these sculpt blocks because I think they're just so cool looking. They look like a night sky, kind of the way that they glow. They look like stars, and it kind of ties in with the teal or green or whatever from the warped wood. So we'll go ahead and just replace the entire ceiling with these blocks. So areas like this over here where we planted these weeping vines, probably have to go ahead and knock those out and either use something red. I don't know, that might look better than just... Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it like that. Now that I'm looking at this line between the sculpt blocks and the red, I don't really like how harsh it is, so I think I'm just gonna replace this with some blackstone. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better, a little bit more smooth. Okay, so this is what the ceiling looks like when it's finished, and I think it's pretty cool. It looks like space. The next thing we need to do is make our actual ice road so that we can travel through the nether. And since we're in a soul sand valley and we're kind of going with this blue-green theme for our tunnels, we can just keep using this warped stem for the inside. So what you want to do is open this first layer, and actually, you know what, we are going to make these into stairs. So we will line this like so, and on the edges we are going to create a tunnel. And I'm only going to decorate like the first little area. We're not going to decorate the entire tunnel because these tunnels can get really long depending on where you go in your world, and that would just take forever. So what I like to do is just decorate the first little bit, like when you would first start traveling, basically what you would see. And so we're going to go here with our warped stem. Oops. We're going to start with these little pillars, and I'm going to leave 3 blocks in between each one. So 1, 2, 3, and this one will be a pillar. I'll just bring that all the way up to the top. 1, 2, 3. And then this one is a pillar. So there's 3 blocks in between each, and that's as far as I usually decorate. You can go further if you want, but it doesn't really make a huge difference, honestly, with how fast that you start to go in your boat. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I like to carry the stairs all the way down to the end of this. Like this. In these areas where we left 3 blocks, we're going to clear out 1 layer and then 1 more layer. And I like to fill this in with warped, what's this called? Warped warp block. Just to kind of make it solid. We'll do the same thing in each of these 3 block spaces. I'm going to throw some glowstone up here real quick. That makes it look a little bit easier to see. And then on these blocks, I just replace these with nylium. And just a random assortment of these plants that grow in the warped forest. You can do this however looks best to you. I'm also going to break out these top 3 blocks in each section and replace those with more of this warp block. And we will break out this row of netherrack and replace it with these warped stairs. Like that. And for the center area, let's see. And then you can put these lights wherever you want. I think I might actually place them in the center of each of these three block areas. Take that one out. Like that. For the ice roads themselves, I like to use packed ice. It's not as hard to come by as blue ice and not as expensive to make, and also a little bit faster than regular ice. And what we're going to actually do is take out this first step. I should have left that open. And we're going to put our first ice block here. And we're just going to do every other block an ice block. And then we're going to fill in the gaps with some kind of slab just to make sure that no mobs can spawn in between here, because that would not be fun. And you always want to have something on this last ice block, whether it be a fence post, a piece of glass. I like using glass just because it's kind of see-through, and I like lining the edges of my roads with glass. You don't have to do this. I just think it looks cool. It's kind of resource intensive in survival, honestly, but if you have the materials, then I think it's worth it, because I just think it looks clean. But anyway, how I like to do it is just line each of these sides with glass panes up until this post. You don't want to have it come too far, because then you connect to this block and you're basically stuck in here. But you do want to have this post here, that way when you are on your ice road and you're flying down this way, you don't just go flying off into the middle of the Nether Hub. So it's just a way to stop your boat. And again, that does work with a fence post or like a wall, but it's a little bit harder to get around in my experience. Sometimes you glitch into the ceiling when you're in the boat, so it's just a little bit easier to use glass, I think. Anyway, so this is as far as I'm going to actually decorate, and what I usually like to do from here on out is clear. I do 6 at a time, so 6 at the bottom, 6 at the top. And what I'll do in survival is I'll have a piece of netherrack in my offhand, so that way if I come across lava, I can just quickly plug that up as I'm digging. But I usually do 2 at the bottom, and I usually go all the way down to the end of like wherever I'm going. That way it keeps ghasts from spawning, because they don't have enough room to spawn until you can spawn proof the rest of the hallway. Stuff like hoglins and piglins can still spawn, so you do want to watch out for that if you're in survival. But usually that's about what I do, and then I go through and I clear the top out 6 at a time. And again, you don't have to do it this way, this is just the way that I do it. And this is just a quick example of an easy way to extend your ice roads. Okay, so once you have that knocked out, then usually I would just continue with the ice. every other square. And then same thing with slabs. Usually at this point after the decorated area, I use cobblestone slabs just because they're easy to get. And honestly, you're going to be traveling so fast in the ice roads that you don't really see the slabs anyway, so it really doesn't matter which ones you use, to be honest. And then I always just extend these glass railings, I guess, if you want to call them that, all the way to the end. And again, this can go as long as you want. This is just a quick example. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is I usually do torches on the walls, so I'll usually do that before I place the glass just because it's a little bit easier to run down the hallway and place torches. And I like to place them on the left side as you're leaving the Nether Hub. That way you always know that when you're traveling with the torches on the right side of the Nether Hub that you're going back towards the hub. It just makes it a little bit easier to navigate, especially as you get a lot more tunnels dug and everything looks the same. Okay, so that's an idea kind of what it would look like. I mean, they'd probably be spaced out a little bit better and maybe not quite that close now that they've updated Minecraft. You don't have to torch spam everywhere, but just something like that, and that way you know when you're going away from the hub and when you're going towards the hub. Another thing you definitely don't want to forget is spawn proofing the rest of these blocks. So the ice blocks themselves are spawnable, and usually what I'll do is just like a plain stone button on all of them just so it looks uniform. And then you want to make sure you have slabs in between the ice, and down here you don't have to worry about anything. The only thing that can spawn here are baby piglins, and usually, I mean, they can't get out of there, so they'll just despawn eventually anyway. And then the tops of the glass are not spawnable, so the only thing you really have to worry about when you're digging the rest of the tunnels is the ice blocks themselves and the spaces in between the ice blocks. So just for a quick demonstration of how this works, if you've never built an ice road before, you just set your boat down. Sometimes it's kind of a pain with the buttons, but just kind of click around and usually you can get it. Jump in your boat, and there you go. And voila! So yeah, that is my quick design for an ice road. Like I said, you can continue this as far as you want, or probably clean this up and make this look a little bit neater so it's not as I don't know, abrupt looking. But like I said, when you are traveling fast, you don't really notice it, and after a while it is really not an issue. Another thing that's really important, especially if all of your tunnels are the same on the outside, like mine are right here in this example, is labeling each of them and where they go. So for example, I would probably move that actually and put the sign up here. Usually how I do it is I would say something like north, and then like Piglin, Bastion, maybe Desert Base, you know, something like that, just to remind you of where this goes. It sounds kind of stupid when you've built the world and you're the only one in the world, but after a while, sometimes you do actually forget where these roads go, and especially if they all are the same design like these ones are, it does get really confusing after a while just remembering where everything is. Another thing is, in my other worlds, I actually like to make each portal look, or each tunnel look a little bit different. So like this one would be Warped Forest themed, that one would be like Soul Sand Valley themed, this one would be Crimson Forest or something, just to make it a little bit easier to figure out where everything goes. Just as like a bonus real quick, I'm going to change this one to look kind of Crimson Forest themed, just to kind of help differentiate between the tunnels. So we'll change these warped stem out for these crimson stem. We'll also take these guys out and trade them for weeping vines. And I think I want to switch this out for some nether warp block, maybe. These guys will get switched to the red nether brick. And then I think instead of the crimson wood, I'm going to use mangrove because it's a little bit more red. Blends in a little bit better. And we'll do kind of the same thing we did over on the other one, except with crimson instead of warped stems. And same thing here, instead of the warped block, we'll use the crimson. And at the bottom we'll put the crimson nylium down here. Another thing I should have pointed out earlier is these blocks are spawnable, so you want to make sure that when you're decorating that you do have something in each spot. Something like one of these plants, or some weeping vines that are going to grow down. Or one thing I do actually like to do a lot is to leave a piece of netherrack in here and set it on fire and just have some like orange fire in here. You can kind of do a similar thing over here with the warped wood if you wanted to leave a block of soul sand or soul soil and set that on fire and have like a blue fire. Might be kind of cool. Something like that. And I mean, it's gonna have glass over it, so you can't get in there and set yourself on fire unless you jump out of your boat and jump over the glass on accident. Break this row out and replace it with stairs. I think I'm gonna stick with the stripped mangrove along the top because it matches a little bit better than the crimson stem, I think. Or the stripped crimson stem anyway, it's a little purple. And then I am going to leave a space for some glowstone. Same thing with the ice and the slabs in between. The glass to stop your boat and the glass to kind of fence in this area. And buttons to make sure that these are spawn proof. This is what the crimson version looks like all finished. Basically the same thing as the warped tunnels that we made already, but just red. The last thing we have to do to finish the Nether Hub is to light our central portal. Now that everything's finally finished, let's see what it looks like with some shaders. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry it took me so long to complete it, but I hope this video was a little bit easier to see and a little bit easier to hear than the last two. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!